Alright, so we still had a fair amount of battery left, so we're going to go ahead and do this return trip. First thing out of the gate is an unprotected left, so that's always an adventure. So let's see what we get. If we have a lot of traffic, this may not go well. So we're going to make the turn out onto the street and go ahead and engage the system, and let's see what we get today. So we do have a fair amount of traffic. One thing I really wish this thing would do, it does not seem to be able to tell if a car is in the far lane or the near lane coming the other way. What the heck is this guy doing? All right, yeah, he's turning in there. And it will absolutely not make this turn unless this turn is like totally clear. And that is not often on this street that you're completely clear. What would be really nice is if it used the middle lane to make the turn. Alright, we are gonna make this turn. Alright, hey, not bad. Nice and patient, did its job. I don't think anyone behind me would have been annoyed with the, it took the first good option it had. As you can see, we're under, like I said in the first video, if you've watched that one, we're under a little bit of a light mist here. Now here's an interesting thing to point out as well. I don't know if you got to see it before the light turned, but if I had been first in line here, the car would have completely tried to blow that red light because it was detecting it as a blinking red. Don't know why. It's just a weird thing with that light, this one that's coming up here, and I think the this next one too, it'll do it too. Don't know what's different about those lights about like every other traffic light in the city, but for whatever reason it doesn't properly detect that they're solid reds, and if I'm first in line, car's trying to go through. So hopefully you enjoy this a little better. Maybe you did like the commentary from my daughter in the first video if you watched it. But this will be a lot more of just me being able, and I'm not on a work conference call either. It'll just be me and my thoughts being able to focus on the drive specifically instead of having to try and listen to see if my name gets called out in a meeting that generally I don't have to talk in. But I do need to be on it to listen to see if there's any news that I need to be aware of. Alright, so this literally, the car is actually would have taken a different route by default. I put it back onto the same route we took in the first video just so we have the symmetric route going back. Normally we would be turning right here, and I do have to say the GPS routing sometimes on this thing, wow, that's not a yellow light I would have blown, that's a yellow light I would have stopped for at this speed at least. This guy making an illegal turn out here because that's not a turning lane. Human pilot for the win, right? So yeah, back to the GPS routing. The default route that it takes me home is an interesting one because it really kind of herky-jerky, like turns, makes a lot of turns on some back streets here. It's the route that it takes me is never a route I ever would choose, ever. It's not quicker, it's not more convenient for sure. But thankfully, unlike what I was telling you in the first video where the car will just decide that it wants to do something, it has not changed the route. Now, the one thing we do have an interesting thing here, again, we are 4/10 of a mile from the turn. Oh, hey, there we go. We are going to change lanes to follow the route. There we go. On cue. That's a good lane, so that's good. We had a fair amount of distance. Now, this blinking yellow tends to confuse it a little bit. Actually, it's doing a good job this morning. It sometimes wants to, like, it'll see the light and like get on the brake on me. All right, so we're gonna get into our turn lane, and we got our yellow lights. So we're gonna see how we do here. All right, so nobody's coming. A little weirdness there, but so far no interventions. We actually have, I don't want to curse this, but we have a chance at having a zero intervention drive here, because we got through that unprotected left, which is one of the three. Actually, no, there's no chance. We have zero chance. The final right before we get to my house, the car will just stop at, and it's a normal intersection with no stop sign, so there will have to be an intervention there. I have yet, so I don't know, I don't remember what software revision, I think it was 69.2, I want to say, that the car just started stopping at this intersection. I want to make a right, and there's no traffic control, but it treats it like a four-way. And maybe when that gets fixed, it'll fix my cul-de-sacs completely. Because clearly, as you saw in the first video, it put on the turn signal to make that right turn, even though there was only one way to go. So maybe that's why those cul-de-sacs are acting weird. But regardless, yeah, the best we can do on this drive is one intervention, which actually isn't too bad. Like, I would take one intervention drives all day, every day, but normally they're a lot worse. And I feel like, and I've said this on Twitter before, I feel like it's geographical bias that, you know, the folks, you know, Tesla owners, Silicon Valley seems to have a lot of no intervention drives. Obviously, Homar's catalog has a ton of them. I feel like because Tesla, well, at least was, and well, now is again, because the engineering headquarters or whatever is out there now. I think it's biased for those cities out on the West Coast, and that's why we see such success for those folks. But if you look at some maybe not as well-known accounts that don't live on the West Coast in a big city, it's not. We seem to have great trouble finding these zero intervention drives. And I should say, zero disengagements is reasonably common for me, because my interventions typically are hitting the accelerator so the car isn't really confusing whoever's behind me, and it's not, getting on the brake or having to yank the steering wheel for some reason. I mean, those definitely happen, but for the most part it's usually having to goose the accelerator because the system's being too cautious and not behaving like a human would expect somebody in front of them to be driving, and so it could cause a problem. At the least, it's pissing them off. At the most, it could cause an accident, and so I get on the accelerator to avoid the latter. So what I'm going to do when we kind of get to the end of this drive, I'm going to let it take the final right onto my street, but you guys don't get to come into the driveway with me. And kind of debrief you on the side of the road before I head in to go home. So yeah, we're under really gray and nasty skies. The light mist still, the light mist is getting a little more misty. So there is that. The wiper, there you go, say on cue there. The wipers had only engaged once, but now that's the second time. I manually hit them once at the start of the drive. So fortunately, the rain isn't so bad that it's disabling the system. We do have that one-lane road up here. I forgot about that. So this will be interesting to see. I don't recall if I've ever had it handle a one-lane road properly when it's had to leave the road. So this might end up being a forced intervention as well. Again, we're going to be kind of on the wheel here to make sure that we're being safe. Not gonna let it. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna? Nope, you're not. Yeah, I did that. I am taking control. The vehicle is departing the lane as I wanted it to. Alright. So we did have to handle that, which is not really a surprise, but it is something that the system will eventually have to handle, obviously, if it wants to be full self-driving. Now, I do have to give the system some kudos up here. This intersection regressed at one point and then got fixed again. Where if I was sitting first in line at the light, it kept putting on the right turn signal to turn right. And no, we wanted to go straight through this intersection. And it is, again, it's a weird intersection. You know, I got to give it that. But again, it's things that, you know, the system has to handle properly in order for it to be on the road. Yeah, it's kind of a weird curve that goes straight. I've got a weirder one in town where it's literally a 5-way intersection. It's strange. And thankfully, the system handles that like a champ. It's kind of funny because when it goes through the intersection, what I would consider to be straight, it's hard to know if you're supposed to signal or not. Unlike this guy who, well, he signaled with his, okay, why are we stopping completely car? So there was an intervention because the people behind me would have been confused why I was totally stopped there and just sitting there. But yeah, the 5-way is so weird that it's hard to know. Like, if it puts the turn signal on, I don't blame it, because even I don't really know how to, okay, that's fun. Even I don't know how to decide if I should put the turn signal on or not. That was weird. So yeah, we kind of almost went left of center there. I think my wheel was on the double yellow. I didn't intervene because there wasn't any oncoming traffic at that point. The car figured itself out, but again, that's a strange one. Like, that's the type of mistake that I don't see normally. Like, that's a weird one. Like, I don't know what the heck it was doing there. But it was almost all the way over the double yellow. This intersection is usually pretty good. It's got this weird hill crest here that you're going to see, but it usually handles that pretty great. And then we got a green light too, so that helps. But it makes this turn really, really nice and smooth. and it is kind of a tight turn, and that's like butter. The guy behind me didn't even make it as smooth. There's another Tesla. That's a Y. That just passed us. A nice white Y. I am putting force on the wheel. So as you can see, this isn't my typical grip. I am gripping it like this so you guys can see that I have a hand on the wheel. Normally I kind of do what I like to refer to as the claw over here, and I kind of alternate between these two, but I do always have a hand on the wheel, other than a couple times I think you saw earlier in the video where I'm like getting talkative with my hands, and I realized that as I was doing it, but so my apologies for not properly doing this. Okay, so we're gonna make a left into my allotment here, and I got somebody behind me. Luckily there's not a lot of traffic, because this is one where I kind of the car tends to want to piss some people off. Alright, so alright, yeah, I intervened there because that got a little weird. It was gonna brake hard and there was no need for it to brake hard. It should have just taken a nice smooth turn, so there's an intervention. I don't know if you heard it on the audio, but you could hear the brake hit. So again, we're detecting that mailbox as a human there. It's not. I have to intervene to get it through the cul-de-sac here. Again, going this way usually gets this cul-de-sac right, but what it does a lot is it goes deep into this turn and it'll like have to yank the wheel. So let's see what we do today. Nope, we're gonna stop today, so. Good turn on the turn though, a little bit of a yank there, but could have been worse. And this is the mystery intersection here. Like, it's a normal intersection. There is no traffic control device telling me to do anything, but we're gonna come to a complete freaking stop there and then make the turn. All right, so here I'm gonna kind of pull over and finish this video off. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I want kind of these videos out there to counteract the folks that are like, oh, it's perfect. It's, you know, here's this, you know, the 43rd zero intervention drive I've had this week. Just to show the folks out there that might be overzealous that this system isn't remotely ready to be driving on its own without somebody sitting in this seat. Not even close. You saw on that drive and in the first drive that there were, I think what we have about, you know, a total of 7 to 8 interventions between the two drives, where if I just let the car, thankfully we had no interventions that would have caused an accident. Those do happen like at least once a day, I would say. So you didn't get to see any of those, but it's not ready to be out there on its own. And if I had let, you know, some of those interventions, if I let the car just do what it does, it'd be like the Waymos out there just sitting in the middle of an intersection clogging up San Francisco traffic. And that's not what we want. So I'm happy that Tesla is still, you know, is not pushing the robotaxis out before they're ready, because on the Waymo side, clearly they're not completely ready. Even in the limited cities that they're in, they expanded. What was it? They expanded out of is it Scottsdale where they had the first deployment into San Francisco, and San Francisco has been not great. I mean, the number of videos of the clogging of the streets that we've seen has not been good. And that's not, we don't want Tesla to be drawing that attention. Because San Francisco, the legislators have had something to say about the cars that are clogging the streets. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, educational video out here. And as you do see, the car handles, what would you say, probably about 95% of everything right. It's those critical 5% that can get interesting, and it's what prevents it's what keeps the driver in the seat, at least for right now. I don't want to come off as being too overly harsh, because I do absolutely believe they're going to get this figured out, and this car absolutely will be able to drive itself at some point without me sitting in the seat or being able to take a snooze, because we're about to take it's about a 4-hour drive on Thursday for some stuff, and I would, at some point in the future, that 4-hour drive could be me taking a nap on the way. But I don't feel like that's a near future unless version 11, when it gets released, has 2 orders of magnitude improvement over what you saw today. Can't wait to see it. I think the NHTSA stuff might be gonna throw a bit of a wrench into the works on that, because we got notification yesterday or the day before, I can't remember when that post came out from Tesla, but folks that have FSD purchased or subscribed but have not yet received the software are on hold of being able to get the software for the first time until they resolve the NHTSA complaint that they had, which is unfortunate. It's not clear whether folks like me and everyone else that already has the software, if we're going to get updates during this time or not. I would think that the way they worded that indicates that we will still get updates even if it doesn't address the NHTSA complaints, because otherwise they would have said no, there will be no updates to FSD until those complaints were addressed. So hopefully soon we'll see version 11 come out to customers. We've only been told that it's almost ready for 6 weeks at least at this point. I think it was middle of January that Elon said that he's going to be evaluating a version for release within the next week, and crickets. And so all right, I'm rambling at this point. I will let you all go. I hope you did enjoy the video, and that's it for this time. So hope you're all having a wonderful day. I wish you continued happiness. Enjoy your Tesla. Enjoy full self-driving. And I'll continue to put some of these videos out to show what the rest of the world, or at least, the rest of the U.S. sees comparative to maybe these ideal locations. That's it for this one. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.